Olodo, and I'm coming to you live from the United Kingdom. Our conversation today is a very simple one, a very straight one, and I want you to, go out to your friends, share this link, tell your friends that we're going to be talking about boys to men. What do we mean by boys to men? We need to define this series itself. This is an intro. This is part one. So we're not going to be doing anything heavy. So everyone that is going to shoot the messenger should just calm down. I need to explain what this project is all about, and I'll be sharing some videos. We'll be having some technical faults. I know a lot of people have been praying for us, but some people also that have been eager to come online to challenge this series. But I think what we should look at is what is the objective. The objective is not to slander anyone, that is important. The objective is not to go after any individual and point the finger because from our culture, the African culture, and particularly the culture where marriage is important, it is clear that when you point one hand at somebody, the remaining four is pointed at yourself. So, even when in the Holy Book, a woman was caught in the very act of adultery, which is family issue. You could say family, they say adultery, yeah. She was caught in the act of adultery and she was brought to Jesus, and the intention was to stone her to death, you know. And Jesus said, he that is without sin, let him cast the first stone. You know, and when nobody was found that believe himself that they are holding to the woman that was caught in the act, not that it was rumors, he was caught in the act. He said, where are the accusers? And the woman said, they are not here. He said, neither have I accused you. So, what am I trying to bring out from here? What I'm trying to bring out is that the intention of this Boys to Men series is not to point fingers at anyone and say, oh, this one has committed this offense. They need to put to jail. They need to be killed. They need to be slaughtered. No, 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 no. If that is the intention, if that is what you thought, then you are in the wrong place. However, what I want is that I want it to be a program where we are talking about some of the pitfalls we are seeing in our community and how to prevent, the Japa generation from falling into it. I was in a 25 years relationship, and actually I should call it a 30 plus years relationship because I met my wife when I was in the university, and we had a good relationship. We had our ups and downs, but some of the things that I'm seeing in our community is so scary that I felt that I have a duty to come out here and talk about some of the challenges that is, befalling some individuals in our community, especially the Jakpa generation. And I think it's important that I make that distinction because there are people out there who felt, oh, Temi is coming to talk about us or come. No, 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 no. In fact, I'm not even talking about individuals that I have met in person or stories of people that have spoken to me in confidence or story I've had because that is rumors. And at my age, I will not reveal my age to you. At my age, I should not be involved in those kind of gossip. Rather that if I feel somebody have done something which I feel is not right, as a matured person within this community, I should call them, share my views with them, tell them how to correct it, and rebuke them in love, and not to go and even discuss their case because some of our folks in our community are very quick to gossip in a holy way. And when I say, brother Temi, have you not heard? we need to pray. Oh. What are we praying about? Is Brother Lagbajara is always slapping, beating his wife. That is rumors. If you want to pray for somebody, pray for somebody. I heard that there is a challenge in this man's life. Let's pray for him. They might be having marital. Simple. But not that you should say, oh, he's slapping his wife, he's killing his wife, he's beating his wife. No, 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 no. If you want to help them by, trying to, solidify that relationship and help correct the wrongs in that relationship. So that's the purpose of this conversation. And having been in the diaspora for about 3 decades now, I think I'm in the rightful position to talk to those fresh newbies coming into the UK, having a lot of challenges in UK, taking not only we're having taken by with we're having challenges with uh, uh, husband or wife reporting their self to authorities over abuse, not just physical abuse but emotional abuse, and women going out of their going out of their marriage, or men also going out of their marriage. So even though this is called boys to men, we are talking about men over 18 behaving like boys. And I do apologize because I noticed that the internet is actually playing up. We've been having, it's like hell, opened up today when we decided to start this program. Everything was system working. The big system I wanted to use was working, but suddenly everything just collapsed at the 11th hour. And that's why I have to resort to using a different system. And everything just, and I don't know why, but definitely I'll be bringing in a technician to look into this issue, because devil might try. If devil wants to do anything, he goes after men. Definitely the devil will not be happy. And as you could tell from my few minutes or 8 minutes of speaking, you could see that I've not mentioned anybody's name. I've not pointed any finger. I've not indirectly insulted anybody, because that's not the purpose of this conversation. The purpose of this conversation is actually to try and talk about some of the challenges that is happening in our community now with the Japa generation, and find a solution for them. So if you are watching me right now, I want you to like this page, I want you to share this page, I want you to tell your friends that we are live talking about how we could move men who are behaving like boys back to their rightful position. Men are meant to be the head of the home, and they're meant to provide for their home. In fact, the Bible which I read, and as a Christian which I belong to, and I believe other faith might share a similar view with us. But the Bible says, "He that does not provide." So an infidel is even worst. But for the person to even be lesser than infidel is serious. And the Bible even goes on to say that when a woman's anger is against the man, they said the prayer of the man will not pass the ceiling. So, and I don't want my brothers who have spent a lot of money trying to bring their children because of the nature and the challenges associated with bringing up children in this home, for them to become affected. And so we are going to be blessed, because as I speak to you, we're going to have a special guest who is going to speak to us about mental health issues within family. I'm going to be asking her questions, and I'm hoping she's actually trying to join, and I'm going to be asking her questions. And I'm confident that somebody by this by this broadcast. What I want is to be lawyers, and there's nothing wrong for us to even have a prime minister from our community. Yes, but if the home is broken, if the child is witnessing abuse on a regular basis within the home, then it's going to be difficult for such a child to excel. And even if it's destined for that child to get to that place, it's going to be hard. Now, we don't want to make it hard. So you could join me in making it beautiful. So I want you to like page. I want you to share this page. I want you to then I will reveal her because I believe she's a blessing to our community. She's been doing great work in our community, and that's the reason why we've invited her to come and speak to us that definitely I'm getting a lot of messages and people are watching. Thank you so much. I can see people are watching, all the way from Dubai. I can see it. Thank you so much. I can see another viewer from the United States. The time is completely different, but you're watching much. We did so much. We really, really, really appreciate you. Wow, I can see somebody watching me from Akure, Nigeria. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Somebody is watching from the capital, beautiful capital of Lagos. Thank you so much. We're having serious difficulty, with we're having to some people to join us, but please, share this page. Tell us, send us your views. Let us know what you think. So I would like to share three things that I believe that the Japa generation that are coming into the UK need to do. Three important things they need to do as they're landing, in the UK. I think there are three things they could do that will help their relationship, and I think that is very, very important. The first thing they need to do as they are arriving in the UK, they need to look for the Nigerian community network. We have a lot of network. I live in Kent as I speak, and we have a beautiful network of Nigerians where there is nothing that you're looking for. Whether you need somebody to look after your child, that will help to prevent um, social workers taking your children from you, because we know that you can't leave a child under the age of 11 alone in the house. That is the law in this country. You can do that in Nigeria, and I don't think it's even right to do that in Nigeria, especially in this time and season when robbers, armed robbers, and everything is all around. Dangerous people are all around. There are neighbors that are predators who are, things, unspeakable things that we can't even be talking on air. So you need to be very, very careful, with leaving your children, in the hands of neighbors who you've not vetted and very sure of their. And I say, okay, okay, yeah. I can tell you now that our big guest has finally managed to join us. So let me, oh God, I'm trying to, okay, just a minute, please, so as I can add her to our um, our guest is joining us now, powerfully. In just yeah, our guest is joining us. Just a minute.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I don't know if you can hear me. Can everybody hear me? Good evening, everyone. I don't know if the host can hear me. I've had some bit of problems joining. I think it's one of the key things that we have, one of the byproduct, by effect of the tech, the techie world we're all in at the moment. I do not know if anyone is hearing me at all. It'll be great to hear a word, to see a sign. I don't know if the host can hear me. Can the host hear me, please? Okay, I have some few minutes, mainly to talk about the challenges that can be for our children in the home, um, especially with regards to their mental health. I think I did hear the tail beats. I was hearing it just in and out when Mr. Olodo mentioned about the impact of a dysfunctional home on the lives of our children. And the first thing I'd just like to establish first and foremost, unlike what the belief that a lot of people have out there in the community, that a dysfunctional home is a home where the father and the mother, they're separated. Mr. Olodo, are you on board now? I don't know. I'm just speaking to myself. I don't know if anyone can hear me. This is sounding really strange. Perhaps if I exit and then come back, but there's some key things, some key messages that I'd like to pass across, especially to the adults, the uncles, the aunties, the cousins, the brothers, the sisters. Just some few things that we need to look out for in our community when it comes to mental health in the home, when it comes to the dynamics of the way we relate with ourselves in our various homes. It'll be very great to hear that. It'll be great to also be able to get some questions. Perhaps Mr. Olodo has some questions. Okay, fantastic. Okay, I can see the comments now. Thank you. You can hear me. That's great. That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Shulola Olufunke Omolara. Thank you for confirming that you can hear me. Does anybody have any questions about the dynamics in the home, how we can support our children in the home, what are the impacts on our children where the home is broken. I don't like to use the word the home is broken. It sounds really really funny because one of the things that I try to explain in our community is that a dysfunctional home is a home where there's no peace. A dysfunctional home is a home where the father and the mother, they're always fighting. A dysfunctional home is a home where the father and mother, they're busy concentrating on their own various activities and not giving the children attention or not supporting them in the home. Because the reason why I like to put that kind of balance there is because in our community, oftentimes people think that dysfunctional homes are homes where the father isn't there or the mother is not there, so we think it's dysfunctional. No, the impact of a tumultuous relationship in the lives of our children are immense. One area that we don't deal with very well in the African community is around trauma. We oftentimes downplay trauma. We oftentimes think that trauma is, is just something by the side of the way, get over it. Uh, for those who are Africans, we think that, oh, we can beat them off, we can beat them, we can beat the trauma out of them. No, trauma is an area where it's a phenomenon that even the psychiatrists are still trying to unravel, and that's the truth. Because there's a bit of trauma that is often not talked about. That is the pre-birth trauma. Do you know that babies in the womb experience trauma? These are babies that have not even been born yet. They sponge off from the emotion of the mother and also the father. Yes, I say the father. Yes, it's not the father carrying the baby for 9 months, but the baby feeds off and picks and sponges off the emotions around them. And that is why I say to young ladies who haven't had children yet, and those who had children or those who are planning to have children, and I say to them, listen, make sure you manage your emotions when you're pregnant, not just when you're pregnant, even when you're bringing the child up. Make sure that you surround yourself with the right things, good music, clean environment. Make sure that mentally you prepare yourself for that baby that's about to come. Because what happens is that a lot of people are dealing with trauma that was, what's the word to use? That was put into their system even before they were born. And I can boldly tell you that a lot of us are dealing with pre-birth trauma, trauma that our fathers and our mothers went through and we had no clue about. But when you sit down in therapy, when you sit down, especially with a very good therapist, and this is not just a therapy of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sessions. Sometimes it might be a very, very many sessions before the psychotherapist might be able to help you unravel where the trauma actually entered. The truth, my brothers and my sisters, is that we need to be conscious of the impact of our misbehavior on our children, and not just our children, on every single child around us. We need to be aware that we're custodians, whether directly or indirectly, to all the children that is around us. Because the way you behave, they're watching you. The impact of your behavior flows on them. When a home is dysfunctional, when a little child is observing the mother and father fighting, arguing, when a child has been taught not to learn how to resolve conflict, but to fight through conflict, where there are no conversations held in the home, the truth is that we're building up a future, we're building up the next generation of children who would not know how to talk, but to fight. The impact of, the dysfunctionality in our various homes is all out there for all of us to see. It's all out there. Is there in the number of children who are in gangs? Is there in the number of children who have a lot of emotional issues? If we take a look at, of course, with every generation, our current generation will say, oh, the next generation is bad, and the next generation will say the next generation is bad. But the truth is, if we're going to just look at the statistics alone, the statistics is staring us in the face that this generation is a generation where we're seeing the highest number of young people who are experiencing mental ill health. And that is why we cannot afford to keep quiet. We cannot afford to sweep things under the carpet. We have a responsibility to raise the alarm, to say to parents, to uncles, to aunties, and older ones around us that the impact of our behavior goes far, especially on the young ones, because they're very impressionable. A lot of us in our 50s, 40s, 30s, or whatever age you're in, you would realize that some of the behaviors that you have at the moment were behaviors that you probably would say, oh, I picked this from my dad. This was what my dad used to do. This was what my mom used to do. Oh, my mom used to have this habit. My dad used to have this habit. And inadvertently, you've picked up those habits. The same way negative habits can be picked up as well. And that is why we need to make sure, and I'm just going to try and give us some few pointers about how can we. I don't know if anyone has any questions, anything to ask around. If anybody has any questions, anything to ask around this topic that we're talking about today, the impact of mental health. Sorry, the impact on the mental health of our young people when they're in homes or where they find themselves in a situation where relationships have been broken. So may I just kind of I won't say a balance, but I just interject into this conversation that it's not just a broken relationship between the father and the mother. It's a broken relationship with neighbors, a broken relationship um, within the dynamics of the family, between cousins, between grandma and grandfather, and all of that. All of those situations are situations that I call dysfunctional. And we have a responsibility. And when I say we, I mean all adults, all of us, we have a responsibility to protecting our young ones. Mr. Olodo, I don't know if you have any questions that you may want to ask me. I can see that you're back on the screen. I'm having some problems as well because I don't know whether you can hear me or not. So I'll pause a bit and wait for perhaps anybody has any questions they want to ask. So I'll pause a bit and wait. Can you hear me? Oh my word, Mr. Olodo, Mr. Olodo, can you hear me, please? I can see you on the screen. Can people who are watching, can you hear me, please? Are you able to hear me, please? Hello. We have a lot of we have a lot of issues with transmission and the internet today. Okay, I'm not getting any feedback from any now about whether you can hear or not. I'm kind of hanging. I don't know exactly what to do. Okay, let me try and read out some of the things, some of the impacts on our children's lives. I'll start by one. There is emotional and psychological distress that children will feel. This is because children in dysfunctional families, they may experience different types of emotions. So they would experience emotions like fear, anxiety, they would experience guilt, sadness, and the constant exposure to conflict and neglect or abuse can actually lead to emotional instability and difficulty in regulating emotions. So I hear this word that is quite popular out there in the moment. Narcissist, female narcissist, and male narcissist. These are words that we hear out there. Do you know that those negative behavioral patterns are sometimes things that were picked because of the dysfunctionality that that child grew up in? Is the fact that the child now grows up having difficulty in regulating their emotions, believing that they have to manipulate before they can get something. Another impact is those children grow up with very low self-esteem and very low self-worth, whether female or male. And you find out that the male sometimes, they will get into very risky behaviors. The risky behaviors might be the things that would lead them into joining gangs. And for those who are in Nigeria, we know the problem we have in Nigeria at the moment around drugs. Nigeria. And 6 years, I'd come to Nigeria then, and I did. There was a conference I held in Nigeria. I had a very interesting conversation with some young people then. I remember going to LTV and some news, LTV. Yeah, I think it was LTV, and I can't remember which other media. And I said to them, "Listen," and this was before drugs became quite popular that people are talking about now. I said, "We're sitting on a gunpowder, a massive gunpowder that will go off at any time. And that's the gunpowder of mental ill health and also substance misuse. And of course, 6 years down the line, a lot of us can say it. Low self esteem and self worth. Children from dysfunctional homes will struggle with very negative self image of themselves. Maybe because they've been abused by their fathers or their mothers who have called them or used very unprintable names for them. Call them, sometimes the mother
Yeah.
will want to take out her anger on the child,
Yeah.
or the father to take out his anger on the child, and they call their children unprintable names, thereby creating very low self-esteem, low self-worth. And what will happen is that they have negative self-image of themselves. And if they grow up in an environment where they're constantly criticized or belittled, they would end up internalizing these negative messages about who they are. And this is a major challenge. Another impact, and this is one that oftentimes we don't pick very well, is attachment issues. Attachment issues. Dysfunctional families often have inconsistent or inadequate caregiving. So the mother is not there because she's embroiled in her own world, trying to deal with issues. Maybe she's been abused mentally, or maybe he's been abused mentally by the wife. It could be both ways. And may I just mention and just balance that domestic abuse is not just the male against female. We also have female against male. So we need to balance that. So the mother of the man could just be embroiled in his own world. And so what happens is that they leave this child feeling very insecure. They leave a child that will now develop with an inability to form healthy relationships later in life. And what that means is that you find them trying to be, I use the word manipulative later, being very much manipulative, developing narcissistic syndromes right from a very young age. I have seen children with such behavioral presentations. Very scary. At a very young age, you say, Auntie, do you really like me? There's nothing wrong with, children saying that, but I'm saying children who have developed a pattern because they've realized that that's the only way they can get attention, and that's the only way they can feel attached to anyone. And may I just kind of balance? No, the word is not balance. May I just kind of mention this as well? A lot of underage children's sexual abuse going on actually is encouraged because of the dysfunctionality in some of the homes, where the child is saying to the mother, actually, Uncle XYZ has been asking me to sit on his lap. And when I sit on his lap, this and this is what he does. And the mother says, shut up, shut up. And the child closes up. And before you know it, the child is being abused right under the nose of the parents. Emotional detachment, which eventually causes attachment issues later on in future. So a lot of us will ask, why do people stay in abusive relationship? They stay there because they have attachment issues. If you trace and if you check and if you do a bit of therapy with them, you find out that actually, very likely, these people grew up in a dysfunctional environment where they feel that they need to be attached to someone, even when that attachment is very negative. Another impact on
Hmm.
the mental health of our young people is academic and educational challenges. You find out that children who grew up in dysfunctional homes, they're distracted. I mean, their education is disrupted as well. So they're in classes, instead of them concentrating on what the teacher is saying, they're busy daydreaming about what life will be if this was not their father, if this was not their mother, about what life would be if this were perfect. Oh, I'm sure I was exchanged in the hospital. That was not my mom. I'm sure. So, and sometimes they're even scared. It is the anxiety and the fear that is in their mind in school. So of course, why would that not affect their educational ability and the challenges they would have? It definitely will. There'll be lack of concentration in school. There'll be anxiety. There's a likelihood they'll be bullied in school as well. And I'll give you this last two. There's quite a long, and the list I've just said is not exhaustive. You can add a lot more. I probably will give you almost 20 or 30 if there was a time. I'm very conscious of time. The fifth one is behavioral problem. Children raised in such challenging environments, they sometimes are very aggressive, they are defiant, and sometimes they withdraw. Sometimes they become extreme introverts where they don't want to, they don't want to relate with other people. They just want to keep quiet. They just want to keep to themselves. And what happens is that they adopt a maladaptive coping mechanism to deal with the stress. So for them to deal with the stress at home, they develop negative coping mechanism. And these are the things that we as adults, as uncles, as guardians, as whatever position you find yourself in our community, for us to be very much aware of. The last one from the list I'm giving this evening is substance abuse and risky behavior. Some children, I mean, I just say some, not all, some will battle through the dysfunctionality in the family and they'll still come out okay. But oftentimes there are underlying issues that may spring up later in future. Risky behavior. So they develop risky behaviors for them to be able to cope. So you find girls become girls and boys, not just girls and boys, becoming very sexually disinhibited. They don't care. From a very young age, they don't care. They'll try drugs, they don't care. They will do the things that we or our grandparents will think, no way, this can never be done. And you find them practicing it. We have a duty to play. And there's a lot more challenge for us who are in the diaspora, especially the generation Japa, the Japa generation who are here. May I just sound a note of warning to some of us who are parents who have come in with our children, for you to understand that the bringing up, the style of bringing children up here is totally different from Nigeria. I work very closely with social services. I'm realizing already that quite a lot of families from the Japa generations are having issues with social services at the moment. The children are going to school. The style of education and the style of upbringing is totally different. We probably will need to have another session on this, the Japa generation. How do we as families in the diaspora, how do we cope, especially those who are integrating into the community in UK? What are the things you need to know? We will need to do that another session. But for now, I stop and I hand over to Mr. Olodo. Mr. Olodo, are you on? Can you hear us? You want us to talk about the Japa generations and how that will have to, don't let us start that today. That will have to be, let's just have a special session on the Japa generation.
Yes.
What are the things to look out for? And when and if you are in trouble, signposting of where you can get support from. That's really important. Absolutely important. But for now, that's a hint about a topic for another day. But let me give this, because I've talked about the issues that the dysfunctionality in an environment a young person grows up in that can cause. Let me try and mention some few suggestions about how we can solve the problem. One is, listen, and I say this very clearly to people: marriage, there's no marriage in heaven. When your relationship is becoming so toxic that you're affecting the 1, 2, 3, 4 children that God has given you, and you're no longer productively bringing up your children. I'm not saying divorce, please. I'm not saying divorce. No divorce. The word is not no divorce. But I'm saying it may be necessary for the sake of the children for you both to separate temporarily while you sort your issues out. The second bit is, as much as possible, do not involve your children in the mess that is going on between you and your husband, or you and your wife, or you and your siblings. Yeah, because remember when I talked about this functionality earlier, it's not just in the marriage situation, it's also in the setting between you and your neighbor, between you and your co-worker. Do not involve your children in them. I was once on a bus, and I overheard the conversation a mother was having with her son. And I felt this is so inappropriate. The mother was telling this this child is probably just about 9 or 10, things you should only tell an adult, you should only tell a child that is in their 20s. Was talking about the issue she had at work, how that person was horrible, that. You are already inputting into the mind, the very impressionable mind of that child, very negative things. Be very careful the kind of conversation you have around your children. Like I said, children pick things up. If you feel that you need to have a robust conversation with your partner, with your friend, with your sister, with neighbor, let the children be out of it. Let's keep their mind as pure for as long as possible. Another thing that I must say is that, listen, we need to set boundaries. You need to set boundaries for yourself and also for your children. It's really important. And this is because where you feel that there's a toxic family member coming to the home and there's going to be wahala and there's going to be argument that you don't want your children to be exposed to, set a boundary around it. Do not harm your children any further. This is really important, very important. The other bit, and I'll close on this, there's quite a long list that I have, very long list, is one. A lot of Africans, a lot of us Black people, we do not know how to resolve conflict very well. We're not very good at conflict resolution. And that's because we're not taught. We were taught that when you're annoyed, you shout. We were taught that when you're not happy with something, you fight. Go and meet her when we were growing up. If somebody, your neighbor's child is abusing you, the next thing your parent or whatever will say is, go and fight, go and fight. You're a bastard if you come back home and somebody has beaten you from outside. Those were the things we were brought up with. We need to teach our children very healthy conflict resolution. And for some of us adults who do not have those skills, there's nothing wrong with going to learn healthy conflict resolution. We may need to deal with this another time, Mr. Olodo. We may need to deal with this another time. How do we have a robust conversation and resolve a conflict? How do I sit down with somebody who I know has an opposing idea to me, and we're able to talk in a very matured and respectful way without having to curse? You need to see the banters on Facebook and almost of the social media pages, especially the president of the Comment Leaders Association. I must say that one of the things like this, I read comments a lot, mainly because I'm intrigued by human emotion. I'm absolutely intrigued by human emotion. And what I hear, what I see there is terrifying. The fact that people cannot resolve a little conflict. Somebody does not agree with you, and the next thing you're doing is that you're cursing their mother, you're cursing their father. These are things and traits from bad background. The effect of dysfunctionality that a lot of us have been exposed to. I'm going to stop on that note, but definitely this is a conversation that cannot just stop now. It's a conversation that has to continue because it's really pertinent in our community. Thank you very much, Mr. Olodo.
Thank you so much, Councillor Lide. You've kill it and actually help us to make this work, even with all the technical challenges, which we definitely look into. Of course, I mentioned before you joined us that this conversation, even though we called it boys to men, people need to realize that we're not talking about minors here. We're rather talking about men behaving like boys and even women behaving like girls, and We have a lot of challenges. You, in your role as counselor in our community, are seeing this on a daily basis. You are helping to correct challenges within your borough. I know there are things that you can't even talk about before you go, that you have for members of our community about networking, because sometimes networking is one way in which you're able to solve. What we don't want is the kind of situation we're seeing in America, where people kill their wife and then, you know, call the authority to say, you know what, I've killed her, and now you can take me away, destroying that whole family, destroying their own relationship with the authority. That's exactly what I wanted you to explain to that point in our community. Because someone that know that when people get to that point of no return, there's no need for them to get to that point. They only just need, to talk to somebody, speak to somebody like
Mm.
yourself, who have
Yes.
experiences and understanding, who know how to network and help them get help. That's exactly what I wanted you to expatiate on a little bit before we call it a day for today.
Okay. Okay. You said one word. I'll make it three words. I'll make it three suggestions. The first one
Okay.
is ask for help.
Okay.
One thing we need to understand is that none of us is perfect. Parenting, relationship, nobody came with a code of how it's meant to be done from heaven. We all learn. We learn as we go, we learn as we progress. Ask for help. So you're having difficulty in your relationship, ask for help. You're having difficulty raising up your child because you know that you're seeing signs or perhaps traits of things that you know that are the effect of some of our or some of the ways we behave. So your child is showing anxiety, extreme anxiety. Your child is showing traits that are scaring you. Do not keep quiet. Please ask for help. That's the first thing. The second thing, we need to educate ourselves. We come from a community where we believe we know it all. You don't have to tell me. Don't tell me. Some people will say, I have your type at home. I've heard men say that. I have your type at home. You cannot talk to me. You cannot do that. Da, 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 da. Listen, education is lifelong. We need to learn. We need to read books. We need to make sure we're aware. So we've talked about the impact of dysfunctionality on the mental health of our children, whether boys or girls. But this time around, I know that I say boys to men series, but it includes women too. I think we need to do a girl to women series too. It's a fact that we need to educate ourselves. We need to read books. We need to attend workshops. We,
Definitely.
we need to go to most of the workshops that we have. Most of the workshops we have are full of women looking to learn, to improve things. Where are the men? Where are the men? How many mentorship programs do men have out there to build up men? Most of the dysfunctionalities that we have, my apologies, and with all due respect to all the men on the platform or men who are here in this evening, is that it's because a lot of the men are still boys. There are men who do not understand what leadership is in a home. There are men who do not understand that the role of a man is a cover. There is a divine order to things. It's a fact that a lot of men have become very lily-livered and they've left the leadership and the headship of the home in a very inadvantaged way to the women. And one thing you need to recognize is that nature abhors vacuum. When you leave the space open, the woman would automatically want to step in because she's a nurturer by nature. Educate ourselves. Men, this is a men to boys series. Educate yourself. Go for the workshops. You need to stoop to conquer. Stooping to conquer means figuring yourself down and going to learn like you did not know anything before at all. Attend workshops. Go for educational program. Go for counseling. So you have issues with anger. Go for counseling, anger management classes. These are some of the things that cause dysfunctionality in our communities, in our homes, both in the diaspora and also both back at home in Nigeria. And the last one that I'm going to say is practice forgiveness. I'm writing a book at the moment. Well, I've written the book, I'm just putting it together. I have a whole chapter there in that book on forgiveness. The impact of unforgiveness in a lot of our lives, oh my word, you do not want to know. Both the spiritual, mental, and physical health. Unforgiveness is horrible, horrible. So we want to bring our nation back. Well, the word is not nation. We want to bring ourselves back to making sure that our boys grow up into men that are real men and not men that are dysfunctional. Some of us, we need to forgive ourselves, and some of us, we need to forgive our parents. Some people don't even understand whether they're forgiving somebody or not because they don't know. There's a litmus test to how you know whether you're forgiving a person or not. But one thing I will say is that while it might be challenging, forgiveness is actually a crucial part of healing from the wounds of a dysfunctional family. Forgiving others doesn't excuse their actions. We're not saying no, that what they did is right. No, it doesn't excuse the action. But what it does for you and I is that it frees us from the past hurts. And so that we're able to go ahead and move on with life. So for some of us who grew up in dysfunctional homes, my father and mother were together, but there were elements of dysfunctionality, and that's the truth. I could go through a stage where I forgave my dad. I had to. I had to call him and I said to him, Dad, I've forgiven you because you did this, you did that, you did that. And some of us will need to do that as well. So those are three things that I would just say that we need to observe. There's a long list. If I was going to, really long list. Mr. Olodo knows me that, if you give me this platform for the next 1 hour, I will continue to talk. But we live to fight another day. So we'll not do all the fighting today. I will not do all the talking
Yes,
today. We'll do more talking
definitely,
another session.
definitely.
Thank you so much for the platform.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's a great honor to have you, Councillor Lade. Great asset within our community. We honor you, we
Thank
value
you.
you, and we
Thank you
know
very
that
much.
some of the things you've talked about today will help some families, may help them from that edge of
Mm.
breaking their home getting broken down from separation. It will help them to nurture their children who will become counselor like yourself, members of parliament, even prime minister, for your contribution, to the homes in our community, and God continue to bless you. So this is where we're going to anchor this program. We have done 53 minutes, and counting. But I felt that we've, even with all the technicalities, we've managed, to be live on Facebook, live on LinkedIn, live on where we again, live on LinkedIn, live on Facebook, and live on YouTube. And I can see people watching, watching in, thank you so much from Lagos, Nigeria. I see people watching from Akure. Thank you so much. I see somebody watching from United States, Australia. Thank you. Australia. Thank you. Australia. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Thank you for all the show of love to men. I don't want to tell you they are coming with an armor on them. No, 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 no. And as you could tell from our 53 minutes of conversation, we've not mentioned any family name, we've not mentioned any cousin's name, we've not mentioned any uncle's name, it's not a shaming program. It's a program where we are all coming to learn. And I'm hoping that when we hold this program again, same time next week, 9 p.m. on Saturday, that all of you will be available again. Call your friends, call your outlaws. Let's have a good conversation. Let's have a good banter. And through our conversation, let's help a home. And by helping a home, we're helping a generation. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you, Councillor Lide. We really appreciate you. I'm trying to see if we have to finish. There we go. is a liar. Then we'll end with this. Hold on for us as we end with this video. I hope it plays because the system just seems to have literally collapsed us today, and it was working perfectly. Just 1 hour to the program, then it just went. So let's see if it plays. If not, then we put a end to it here. For all our viewers, if you want to promote yourself on this segment, send a message on our Twitter, on our LinkedIn thread, on YouTube thread, and also on our Facebook thread, and definitely um, we'll be in touch with you. You can promote your product on this program. Yes, it's not allowing us to play the video. I've got so many videos that I wanted to play, to more or less promote this event, but unfortunately, it's not allowing us. The system is playing up. So just like one of our sisters said it might be MTM, but we don't have MTM in the UK. So we'll find out what the problem is and we'll deal with it. Once again, thank you so much, our guest. Thank you so much. Please give her a round of applause. Thank you for being there for us. We really appreciate you. And thank you, viewers. And please share the video. The video will be on YouTube. Share the link. People can watch it again. And thank you so much for your time. So at this point, I'll call it a day, and I allow you to go and have your cup of coffee. And in 3 minutes, 3 minutes. So we've done almost 3 hours. I want to thank you so much, and God bless you all. God bless you.